G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags and welcome to my first ever Subscribers Choice episode. And today we're taking a look at the winner, the ME-262 A1U4. Now ever since I saw this aircraft, I knew it wasn't going to be competitive in a fight, but I thought it could at least be fun to fly. Now let's go over the aircraft stats and we'll take a look at why it's not competitive. So the ME-262 A1U4 has a battle rating of 7.3. It's 0.3 lower than the standard A1 variant. Its top speed's 812 kilometers an hour. It has a turn time of 29.9 seconds, a rate of climb of 2,897 feet a minute, and its burst mass on the main gun is 4.87 kilograms on the 50mm. Now that 50mm is a Mark 214A 50mm cannon with 32 rounds of ammunition. And in the background at the moment, you're going to be seeing a couple of the encounters that I had in this plane during, well, this video was made over the first 10 free repairs available on the aircraft. So that was an F3 Meteor that just took me out. Now, let's compare the stats that I just listed against the stock F-80C. Stock F-80C is capable of 912 kilometers an hour, has a 26.3 second turn time, has a rate of climb of 2,826 feet a minute. It's only 71 feet a minute lower than the 262 A1U4. And its 1 second burst mass on its 50 caliber machine guns is 5.2 kilograms. The 50 cals on the F-80C have a higher burst mass than the 50mm on the U4. So, in summary, the F-80C is faster, it's more manoeuvrable, it has almost the same rate of climb, it has a higher burst mass with more ammunition on those 50 calibers, and it's only battle rating 6.7. It's a full battle rating below the ME-262 A1U4. Now, the more aircraft you compare the 262 A1U4 against, the worse the story gets for it. There is almost no aircraft in the game that it can face that isn't capable of outperforming it. Its battle rating of 7.3 means it is fully capable and will get into battles against things like the F-86 F-25. And things get worse again when you start looking at the one thing this plane, or the one reason people would fly this plane into combat, the gun. Now this was a good round, this one. I actually managed to destroy some ground targets and a couple of AI planes and then get back to the runway for a reload. I didn't get back off the runway, however. Yeah, that's going to leave a mark. Now, as I was saying, the 50mm. Now, it's accurate to about 500 to 600 meters. Once you get outside of that range, the shell seems to diverge off in a completely random direction, completely unrelated to the direction your aircraft is heading, and it's almost impossible to anticipate. It's very rare for it to stay dead center. But 500 or 600 meters, it's good enough if you're trying to go for a close strike. The real problem with the 50mm is the ammunition you get available. Now, this battle here is the one I'm going to show in full. This was the best battle I ever managed to achieve in this aircraft. Now, to get this battle, I needed some backup. During the course of my many losses, I ran into No More Oreos from SFB Squadron. He asked if I wanted him to come along to provide some backup. And with him came along Unflappable Fox from Reddit 9. And these guys are providing me a little bit of cover. Their job is going to be to try and keep the fighters away so I can get this thing wound up and see whether or not I can make something of it. So, thank you to you guys. You're awesome. Now, as I was saying, with the gun, and specifically its ammo, the default rounds for this 50mm come in three types. There's a high explosive incendiary tracer round, a straight up HE round, and a high explosive incendiary tracer round, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of that shell. I'm useless at it. It's the special overcharge round that the Germans get. The mine, I'm not going to bother with it, but it's got one of those. I will try and find out the pronunciation for that word and get it right. Now, the problem with this belt is, depending on situation, one or two of these rounds are useless. In air-to-air combat, the high explosive incendiary tracer round will impact a target give you a hit confirmation, so the 1 RP 20 credit you've managed to hit the target reward at the bottom of the screen, but do absolutely no damage. And I tested this against multiple aircraft in custom battles. Thank you to Grievous, one of my subscribers who I fly with regularly, for providing me a moving live target. But the HEIT on a direct impact won't even bring up the paper doll for your plane. It will do no damage at all. The straight HE round will impact the plane and usually pink whatever section it happens to hit, but not perform any critical damage, unless you're incredibly lucky, although I've only ever seen it hit and do damage once in testing. And then there's the final round, the special HEIT round, which will rip a plane apart like it's made of tinfoil when it hits. The third round is great, but that means you've only got 32 shots and only 1 in 3 is actually going to be a guaranteed one-shot kill against aircraft. The other 2, 1 is marginal, 1 I've never seen it do any damage at all. The story is very similar on ground targets. The special round will one-shot anything it hits, anything up to medium tanks. I have managed to pop heavy tanks. Sometimes they are resistant to it, so it seems to be depends on where you land the shot as to whether or not you kill them, but anything from medium down will be one-shot by that round. The high explosive round, exactly the same thing. I've never managed to kill a heavy tank with it, but from medium down it will unshot every ground unit it hits. The high explosive incendiary tracer round, same as in the air. You get hit confirmation that you managed to strike the target and nothing happens. It does not light on fire, it does not explode, it doesn't do anything. Now, getting the belts upgrade would correct this problem. The upgraded belts on it actually look very promising. Lots of very good rounds, nothing that should be ineffective. However, to get those belts, you're either going to have to blow around 1,000 gold to buy the airframe upgrade and the belt upgrade to make it so you have 32 usable rounds, or using this default belt, you have to grind 79,000 RP in order to unlock it. Yeah, 79,000 RP just to make sure you have 32 usable rounds in your gun. Until then, the best you can do is, depending on what target you're engaging, is count out your shots while you're firing them. Remember the sequence you're firing in so you know what shell is loaded into the gun. If you lose track, every time you pull the trigger on a target, you're gambling whether or not you're going to have a good shell, a mediocre shell, or a useless shell in the barrel. What all this culminates down to is a plane that is not only bad, but it's boring. There's nothing fun about flying this into combat. There's nothing amusing. It's not like the 410 with the 50mm, which it's not a competitive plane either, but you can have a damn good time just trying to derp things with it. This plane, it's just not. The stock repair cost on the plane is around 20,000 credits, so while it's not the most expensive aircraft I've seen, it's twice the cost of an F-80C to keep in the air in stock format, so you do have to have some form of performance in order to make enough money simply to cover your repair costs. And it's just uninteresting. And you'll see that in this match. This was a second place round for me. It was the best I ever managed to do in the plane in 10 rounds, and I swore I would do this video inside of my first 10 free repairs. Now, keep in mind that I have a video on this channel where I took the old Vampire flight model, and I managed to get a Vampire into first place, and it was a pretty boring looking round too, but I managed to get it there, even on that old flight model. This is worse. This plane is worse than the Vampire with its own old flight model. Even if you manage to beat the odds in this plane and get it into a position where you can engage the target and potentially get a kill, it's rolling the dice as to whether or not you'll be able to kill it on a direct hit anyway. Now, this was the last round I played in it. This was my final free repair. My wingmen have just moved through. They've ripped most of the AI B-17 swarm apart. They've cleared out to begin engaging fighters. They've left me to try and deal with these B-17s. First pass, multiple hits on a B-17. It's still flying. I didn't get the good round in, so no kill. I've got a very thin target here, and you can see the shells diverging off. There we go. Half a dozen rounds into the tail. Finally managed to split the tail off. And yes, I know approaching a B-17 behind is suicidal. Honestly, after 10 rounds in this thing, by this point, I really didn't give a shit. I had totally lost the ability to care. And there we go. That was a hit indicator, no damage. Second shell goes in. I got the good round, kills the target. So, two B-17s. That's about 2/3 of my repair costs covered if I didn't have free repairs. Maybe. Now at this point I am at 13,000 feet and I do have a bit of speed and energy up, so I'm trying to work out exactly where to put this plane. Now I'm not going to engage in combat at this altitude, I'm going to have to dive down because this plane's performance at above 9,000 to 10,000 feet in stock format is atrocious. You've got to get it to low to medium altitude in order to be able to get any performance out of it at all. Now I've spotted a situation below me. F-80C and a Meteor are engaged with a number of 262s and 162s beneath. That gives multiple targets for them to try and track, and I might be able to get in and get an opportunistic kill. So I'm just trying to target off the F-80C here. And those are the B-17s striking the ground after I've blown off their tails and wings. F-80C goes down. Pull out of that. Now, this is the one compliment I can give this aircraft. With its leading edge wing slats and combat flaps that are able to be deployed out to 500 kilometers an hour and not be ripped off, this thing's maneuverability at low altitudes is incredibly good. It also seems to sit its energy retention very well at around 400 kilometers an hour, but if you're at a speed any higher than that and you attempt maneuvers, you will just bleed it off almost instantly. Basically, its energy retention and maneuverability is ideal for a dedicated ground attacker. That's really it. But to do the dedicated ground attack role, you need a team that's going to cover you while you're striking at those ground targets, and those are hard to find. I was going to go for that AI Mosquito, but Meteors have dropped into the area. I'm going to go and try my luck here. Bring the nose around to try and pull up the shots, and as you can see, despite pulling maneuvers, I am managing to close distance on this Meteor. It is only an F3 and it did just take a very high angle climb. But you can also see its maneuverability is higher than mine. Oop, missed there. That was probably going to be my last chance of actually getting a kill on this thing. And yeah, I'm trying to track it at the moment, but there we go. It's just turning inside of me. There's nothing I can do to bring the nose around fast enough. I'm under combat flaps at the moment. You can see the slats are fully deployed. I'm at optimal maneuvering speed, and I just cannot bring this thing around. Air brakes would possibly help this plane, but historically it didn't have any, so it's not going to get any. Now, speaking of things this plane doesn't have, upgrades. Do I think this plane will get better with upgrades? Yes. I think it will. The belts is a definite, and I think with the wing upgrades, the engine upgrades, the plane will perform well enough. But that's a lot of RP to grind to polish a turd. And make no mistake, this plane is a turd. So, the Meteor's out of range now and gone. I'm going to take a crack at some ground targets and see whether I can do anything here. Now you'll see I'll be diving in exceptionally close, trying to get shots on. Now I can't see the target through the trees. This is to try and alleviate that random spread past 600 meters that it doesn't have. Now I didn't have a clear shot there, so fair enough. Down low, got the kill. Its elevator authority, as you can see, for low altitude flying is very good. So in the ground attack role, it's actually very easy to bring this plane's guns to bear on ground targets, strike them, and then get out of range. Now, pillboxes. The 50mm on this thing will penetrate. There was one of the dud rounds, confirmed a hit, didn't destroy the target. Now, as I was saying, the pillboxes. This thing will penetrate light pillboxes. It will just go straight through them if you get one of the two good rounds for ground attack. However, heavy pillboxes will require you to take aim at the back doors and vision slots if you want to take them out. Dive back in. One of the good rounds. Take him that time. Next target. And that's the match over. So, results for the match. Second place for the team. 2 AIB-17s and 2 ground targets. Final blow, anti-mech, 29,444 Silver Lions, 2,750 research points. This was hands down the best round I managed to pull in the 262 A1U4, and I required backup in order to be able to do it. That's how bad this plane is. And at a 20,000 repair cost for this thing to get shot down stock, that 29,000 RP was only just enough in order to be able to cover the repair bill if I didn't have free repairs available. And this did cost me a free repair. One of those AAA on the ground managed to clip the wing, not enough to actually bring up the paper doll, but enough to record damage, so a free repair was consumed. So there it is. Will I eventually spade this aircraft? Yes, but it's not particularly high on my list to do. I will fly it out from time to time and see if I can pull off a better match in it, but it's not something I'm hopeful of. This is just one of those machines. It would probably perform a lot better than it does if it was tiered at a level for its performance, but at 7.3 it's simply tiered too high. This thing should be at 6.3 maximum. 6.0 would probably be closer to more optimal. So anyways, ladies and gents, that was my first subscriber event plane down. Tune in for the next episode where I'm going to take the P80 out and see whether or not I can do better in it. Until next time, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.